the Twitch chat love connection. You've been a fan of FeFe's streams for a while now, admiring her unique style and fun personality. You never expected to actually interact with her though, until one fateful day when you decided to join her stream's chat. At first, you were just another anonymous viewer among the crowd, but as you continued to participate in her chat and engage with the other viewers, you started to catch FeFe's attention. She would respond to your comments with heart emojis and even call you out by name, making your heart skip a beat every time. You didn't know if she was just being friendly or if there was something more, but you couldn't help feeling a spark of hope inside. As time went on, you found yourself tuning in to FeFe's streams more frequently, eagerly waiting for the moments when she would acknowledge you. You even started to become friends with some of the other regulars in her chat, bonding over your mutual love for FeFe. One day, FeFe decided to do a special stream where she would be taking requests from her chat for songs to sing. You couldn't resist the opportunity and sent in a request for your favorite song. To your surprise, FeFe immediately recognized your name and said, "Oh, this one's for you, name." As FeFe began to sing your song, you couldn't help but feel a rush of emotions. It was like she was singing directly to you, and you couldn't imagine feeling more connected to someone through a screen. After the stream ended, you couldn't stop thinking about FeFe and the special connection you felt with her. You decided to send her a private message on Twitch, thanking her for the amazing stream and telling her how much you admired her. To your delight, FeFe responded quickly and was just as sweet and charming as she was on her streams. You started chatting with her regularly, and your conversations grew deeper and more personal over time. It wasn't long before you realized that you had fallen in love with FeFe, but you didn't know how to tell her. You were just another viewer in her chat, after all. But then one day, FeFe surprised you by revealing that she felt the same way. She had been waiting for you to make a move, but was too shy to say anything herself. From that moment on, your relationship with FeFe grew stronger and more passionate. You would watch her streams together, sending each other flirty messages and laughing together at her antics. You even started planning to meet in person someday, hoping to take your relationship to the next level. Thanks to Twitch chat, you had found the love of your life in FeFe, and you couldn't be happier. You would always be grateful for the day you decided to join her stream and make yourself known in her chat, leading to the ultimate Twitch chat love connection. As the stream continued, you found yourself more and more drawn to FeFe's quiet yet expressive demeanor. Her eyes sparkled with mischief and humor as she interacted with chat, and her smile was infectious. You couldn't help but feel a flutter in your chest every time she licked her lips, a habit she seemed to have picked up during the stream. As the night wore on and the chat began to wind down, you found yourself hesitant to leave. You didn't want to say goodbye to FeFe, not yet. So you gathered up your courage and typed out a message in chat. "FeFe, I know this might sound crazy, but I feel like there's a connection between us. Would you be interested in getting to know each other better?" You held your breath as you hit send, watching as FeFe's face lit up with a grin. She licked her lips and typed out a reply. "I think that sounds like a wonderful idea. How about we chat privately sometime?" Your heart raced as you exchanged contact information with FeFe, feeling like you had just won the lottery. From that day on, you and FeFe became inseparable. You talked every day, learning more about each other and growing closer. Eventually, you made plans to meet in person, and it was like a dream come true. FeFe was just as beautiful in person as she was on stream, and her personality shone even brighter. You spent a magical week together, exploring the city and getting to know each other on a deeper level. As the week drew to a close, FeFe took you to a rooftop overlooking the city, where the two of you watched the sunset in silence. Finally, FeFe turned to you with a soft smile. "I never would have guessed that I would find love through Twitch chat," she said, taking your hand in hers. "But I'm so grateful that I did." You looked into her eyes, feeling like you could get lost in them forever. "I'm grateful too," you replied, leaning in for a kiss. As your lips met, you knew that this was the beginning of a beautiful love story, one that had started with a simple message in a Twitch chat. You couldn't believe it. FeFe was actually flirting with you. You felt your cheeks heat up as you tried to come up with a witty response. You quickly typed back, "Oh really? And what would you like to do on our date?" FeFe responded with a heart emoji, making your heart skip a beat. You both continued to chat for a while longer, talking about your interests and hobbies. You found out that FeFe loved to play video games and was a big fan of anime, just like you. Before you knew it, it was time for FeFe's stream to end. She said goodbye to her viewers and turned to you one last time. "I had a great time chatting with you," she said. "Let's do it again sometime." As soon as FeFe's stream ended, you sat back in your chair and let out a deep breath. You couldn't believe what had just happened. You had just spent the last few hours talking to your favorite VTuber, and she had even flirted with you. You spent the rest of the night replaying the conversation in your head, unable to sleep because of how excited you were. You couldn't wait to talk to FeFe again. Over the next few weeks, you and FeFe continued to chat regularly. You started to feel a strong connection with her, and you could tell that she felt the same way. You both shared your deepest fears and desires, and you quickly became each other's confidants. One day, FeFe surprised you by asking if you wanted to meet in person. You were nervous, but you couldn't pass up the opportunity to finally meet the woman you had been talking to for weeks. You agreed to meet at a local cafe, and when you arrived, you saw FeFe sitting at a table in the corner. She was even more beautiful in person, and you couldn't help but smile as you approached her. "Hi," you said, feeling a little shy. FeFe stood up and hugged you tightly. "It's so good to finally meet you," she said, her voice soft and sweet. You spent the rest of the day talking and laughing, and before you knew it, it was already dark outside. As you said goodbye to FeFe, you realized that you had fallen in love with her. Over the next few months, you and FeFe continued to see each other. You went on dates, watched movies together, and spent countless hours talking. You had never felt this way about anyone before, and you knew that FeFe felt the same way. One day, FeFe took you to a beautiful park and sat you down on a blanket. "I have something to tell you," she said, taking your hand in hers. "I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you." You felt tears welling up in your eyes as you looked into FeFe's beautiful brown eyes. "I love you too," you said, your voice barely above a whisper. FeFe pulled a small box out of her pocket and opened it to reveal a beautiful engagement ring. "Will you marry me?" she asked, a look of pure love in her eyes. You couldn't believe it. The woman you had fallen in love with was asking you to spend the rest of your life with her. You nodded your head, tears streaming down your face. "Yes," you said. "I will marry you." FeFe slipped the ring onto your finger, and you hugged her tightly. You knew that you had found your soulmate, and you couldn't wait to spend the rest of your life with her. As the night progressed, you found yourself growing closer to FeFe. You discovered that you had a lot in common, and she had a great sense of humor that kept you laughing. As the party started to wind down, you exchanged numbers with FeFe and promised to keep in touch. Over the next few weeks, you and FeFe talked every day. You found that you couldn't stop thinking about her, and you realized that you had developed feelings for her. You weren't sure if she felt the same way, but you decided to take a chance and tell her how you felt. One day, while you were on a call with FeFe, you nervously confessed your feelings to her. To your surprise, she felt the same way. You both decided to make things official and start a long-distance relationship. Despite the distance between you and FeFe made it work. You talked on the phone every day and sent each other care packages and letters. You even made plans to meet up in person as soon as possible. Finally, the day of your first in-person meeting arrived. You were nervous, but excited to finally see FeFe in person. As soon as you spotted her at the airport, you ran towards her and wrapped her in a tight hug. The rest of the trip was a blur of laughter, hugs, and stolen kisses. You and FeFe explored the city together, trying new foods and seeing all the sights. It was a magical time, and you knew that you had found someone special. When it was time for you to leave, you and FeFe exchanged tearful goodbyes. You promised to stay in touch and to make more plans to see each other again soon. As you boarded your plane and headed back home, you couldn't stop thinking about FeFe. You knew that this was only the beginning of your love story, and you couldn't wait to see what the future held for you and your Twitch chat love connection. As the chat continued to hype up the potential love connection, FeFe and you found yourselves chatting more frequently and privately. The more you talked, the more you found that you had in common. You both loved video games, anime, and all things nerdy. Eventually, you both decided to take your conversations offline and meet in person. You arranged to attend a convention together, dressing up in matching cosplay outfits. The moment you saw each other, you knew that the connection you felt online was just as real in person. Throughout the convention, you both had a blast, participating in various events and panels together. When it was time to go, FeFe gave you a hug, and you both realized that it was time to take things to the next level. As you walked out of the convention center, hand in hand, you noticed that there was a small group of fans waiting for FeFe. You both waved and smiled, but as you continued to walk, you realized that the group was following you. FeFe noticed the group too and suggested that you both duck into a nearby coffee shop. As you sat there, sipping your drinks, you noticed that the group had followed you in. They started to swarm FeFe, asking for pictures and autographs. FeFe remained calm and gracious, but you could see that she was uncomfortable. You decided to step in and try to help her out. You asked the group to give FeFe some space and even offered to take a few pictures with them instead. As you posed for pictures, you noticed FeFe watching you. She had a look of admiration in her eyes, and you knew that you had made the right move. After the group left, FeFe turned to you and said, "Thank you so much for doing that. You're really amazing, you know that?" You smiled and took her hand. "I'll always have your back," you said, and FeFe leaned in for a kiss. As your lips met, you felt like you were on top of the world. You had found your perfect match, all thanks to the power of Twitch chat. As the night wore on, FeFe and the reader continued to dance and talk, lost in each other's company. FeFe's eyes sparkled with delight as the reader made her laugh with silly jokes and witty comebacks. The reader couldn't believe how natural it all felt, like they had known each other for years. But just as things seemed to be heating up between them, a sudden commotion caught their attention. A group of rowdy Twitch chat members had crashed the party, causing chaos and destruction. FeFe's face darkened with anger as she watched them ruining everything she had worked so hard to create. FeFe quickly sprang into action, determined to protect the reader and the other guests from harm. She used her powers to silence the trolls, and with a swift motion, banished them from the party. As the chaos subsided, FeFe turned to the reader with a smile. "I'm sorry about that. Some people just can't handle a good party," she said, her hand still lingering on the reader's arm. "But don't worry, I won't let anything spoil our night." With a mischievous glint in her eye, FeFe leaned in close to the reader's ear and whispered, "I have a feeling the night is just getting started."